leather shades drawn, either side of storm rage on. Patiently the fauna wait the day the rain's gone. In my defense, I claim it's obvious I'm not him. Probably it's the toxin. Sorry, it's a lot been unresolved. 6 and 16 and revolve around a small town click. Call it quits, bring all in walls down. Finally, I'ma defeat the rival with the rifle right in my pistol title. Tricycle, I break it. So never they perpetuate the malady. Abashedly accommodate mortality. Undoubtedly, I'm down to reconsider. I'll stay if you can make a promise, though. Please keep it real close and don't. I'm warning, not strong enough to take it now, and I'm investigating other ways out. Will rebuild what the bottle destroyed. I'm downhill, standing still at the bottom of Roy, where the past over 5 look alive much as anything. Cling to the side in any sign of your memory. My creative liberty is tempting me to hasten to the point of penance. We could be rejoined if you employ forgiveness. Sell it all. Tell them hell is nothing but a cell wall. I'm a soul, even as the shell fall. Shed not a tear for my exodus. I'm hearing the protectorate. The fear I had was delicate to break. Simply took a leap of faith and virtue. Served through, I never meant to hurt you. For certain I'll be down to revisit the dearest of my kinfolk. Hold the spirit near, keep it real close, but don't break it. The creed is all we got until we meet again. I'm praying you gon' make it through the season.
Two, one, Brian's gay.
But oh my
Yeah,
god,
Happy
why?
New Year's.
Oh my god. Hello everybody. This is not our usual broadcasting schedule because I fucked up on my part last week. Oops.
Yeah, bad boy, bad boy.
And
What you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come
when they come for you.
Bad boy, bad boy.
To everyone out there, Bad Boys, the newest movie is now out on live streaming. Watch that shit. That shit's hilarious.
Shut up.
No, you. But yes, this is going to be our second attempt re-recording our cultural appropriation talk. God fucking damn it.
Yeah, this may be short, may be long, depends on how we depends on
How
how
we
it
go.
goes.
Yeah. So if anything, too, for those that have seen our last week's podcast episodes, it is not going to be 100% verbatim of what I remember saying last time. So this is just like our normal conversation going forward now.
Our opinions will change by the hour.
Yeah. So so I will do my best to let's just spend the first few minutes of what we reiterated from our last week, such as the fact that cultural appropriation in our eyes is definitely like something that has lost its meaning just because the way how many people were throwing that word out, kind of throwing it with the context of like stealing like culture for your own gain kind of stuff. But really, when we started like going into that, like there's definitely a definition of like cultural appropriation that has to be like addressed to. One example being that the British Empire like took over, in this case, parts of India, but don't use a single fucking one of their spices in their food.
It's a
That's-
goddamn shame too.
Yeah. And guess what too? The best
Well, I mean, not technically a shame, let's be honest.
Yeah, because I think it is funny too. Like, I think the UK, I could be wrong, or someone could fact check me on this one. If the UK's national
You're already
dish is
wrong.
like butter chicken, something like that.
That doesn't sound like it.
Someone fact check that for me real quick.
I don't know.
It's like UK's national dish.
It's chicken tikka masala, Brian.
Oh, chicken tikka masala. Oh. So, anyways, yeah. So yeah, their own national dish isn't even British food.
Mhm.
It's Indian.
Yeah. So In this case, Victor, would that be considered cultural appropriation?
I don't think so, because there's a bunch of Indians living over there too.
Fair enough. So
I mean,
it's like
soon this will probably be America's national dish.
maybe. Man, tikka masala is good though.
Mm-hmm.
But continuing on for that, what we talked about from like last week too was from the talk about Simu Liu once again on the news headline. Somehow he is somehow more of an Asian poser than most people are that aren't Asian, which is kind of funny, not gonna lie. But
I feel like he's one of those that just says everything's cultural appropriation without really understanding why is it cultural appropriation.
yeah, do you think it's also because he probably grew up like in the time frame of what was it, the swag Asian era back in high school?
The
I don't want to
ASEAN.
hear. I don't
No,
want to
the
hear
ASEAN, the ASEAN era.
Well,
I don't
he
want
definitely
to hear
didn't look
that.
like it.
I maybe he didn't look like it, but I feel like he did participate in that shit, especially like the ones that are wearing the fucking domo hats.
Oh my god, not Domo. Domo.
Wait, I actually remember that.
Oh my god, I don't know. But anyways, slandering shit aside too, he did make a comment about like in this case a boba like drink company, right? That's called Boba.
Yeah.
And their whole pitch deal is that they have like their own like version of like fruit teas and whatnot that has their own like popping bobas or whatever bobas that they have in there too. The only thing I will only say about like what their pitch like kind of fell flat on is the fact the way how they kind of worded certain things, but overall yeah, their idea of product, it wasn't even that all terrible either. It also just depends on how much they're also charging per bottle of that.
Mm-hmm. I mean, if it's good, it's good. Like I don't think people should be
Yeah.
concerned that it's not owned by Asian people.
Yeah. Because like if we take that argument aside too, like Simu was like harking on the fact too that like you guys aren't like culturally speaking, you're not like from Taiwan, or if anything, none of you guys look like that you're from like Taiwanese descent. So it's like in most cases, he comes off with the idea that like because they are non like Taiwanese and they're pretty much like people that live in Canada, for example, they wanted to start this company up. They want to like sell this product to like their own way to their people, which is take it what you will. This is a free market space. You can do whatever you want, right?
Sure, you can.
So, and then there's definitely like the case to be made about like there are certain things that can be considered cultural appropriation, but even with that alone, you really had to make sure that you get your facts straight on like a lot of things on here. Like, did they purposely like just steal a recipe from, let's say, a partner that they had worked with previously, and then they cut ties with them and just stole all of his shit? Maybe that could be something else, but that's also like a
That's
different
not
shading as practice.
That's not appropriation. That's just stealing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely just.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's what it is come down to with this here is that like they're trying to like associate a word of stealing, like culturally stealing like some stuff and appropriating it to their own like product. In this case, trying to rebrand it.
I mean, that's fine. Of course, everybody's gonna, I guess, rebrand whatever they still call it boba though. It's not like they're saying it's a completely different thing.
Yeah, it's not like they're gonna say. Yeah, it's like they're not straight up saying that like I don't know, like mushy balls or some shit.
They're not making it their own. They're just changing it a little bit to cater towards a different audience, so it can garner more attention.
Yeah,
exactly. I mean, everybody does that with everything we have here. So I don't see that's a problem.
Yeah, maybe this is probably us like kind of looking at this like definitely different because there's like a whole bunch of people that want to agree with Simu that like they are culturally appropriated, but the way how I see it, if you really try to break down that argument, it doesn't hold well.
It doesn't, because it's not cultural appropriation. That's why.
Yeah, because all it really is the fact that it's just a non-Asian person that founded, or in this case made like a boba company. That's it.
Well, nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. Like, if it'll be one thing, it's that too, if it was cultural appropriation, but it's also gonna be funnier too that like it's also like a high market price stuff shit too when I'm like thinking about if the like per bottle that they sell it, right? If it's like even more expensive than what I would get if I go to Fengcha and grab like a fruit tea with popping boba from there.
But that's fine though.
Yeah.
That's not the point. I mean, we'll let the free market we'll let the free market
Dictate that.
dictate that. But that's not the price isn't our problem.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's like in general, it's like one of the things that biggest like question here is like, should these people be allowed to like do something like this? I'm like, yeah, technically they can. It's like,
I mean,
what's the
technically,
stuff?
of course they can.
Yeah. Because like here's another counterpoint example too. Like if people could not make the stuff because they don't technically look like they belong to the culture that they're trying to make a product of, literally the city of Portland in Oregon would just collapse in, or there'll be nothing there.
I'm sure every country, or not every country, but every city in this country
Yeah.
would.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm using Portland as an example here too because they're really much known that like they have like a wide variety of like food over there and they're all like white owned. But a lot of the white ownership too, like a lot of them have the history of like doing their best to like learn from where they are trying to make the recipe of. Like in this case, a white ramen chef opened a restaurant, open at Portland. But he did the research, he did the time by like working underneath like a ramen master in Japan, learn from that, and then he decided to take on the skills and make his own restaurant, which is for everybody else here in a restaurant business here too. This is quite normal, actually. Where like if you were working in this case under, if you're like let's say a head chef too, you are most likely going to expect at some point too the people that are working underneath you too, they will at some point leave the nest here and then make their own place, which is something that should be totally fine to do. Especially learning, because that's the thing about it too, that like especially with like culinary products like this too, culinary is its own art form, right? Like it always needs to have like interpretation, it needs creativity to keep the culture going too. Hell, a lot of times too, that was also the biggest like I would say the biggest like culture blockade with Chinese food, honestly, just because it's also like so technique focused on making sure it's perfect. But it's causes so much friction of like they want to like innovate and want to change it, but they can't because it overall, if you try to do a riff on this specific dish, it just becomes something different.
Correct.
Yeah. So I mean, this is tangent aside too. We're going at this, and yeah, I don't think the company Boba is in the wrong here for trying to do the company and whatnot. I think the only, let's say, the fewer good case study that we did say that was like cultural appropriation was like that one time when Kim Kardashian had like a fashion line that's called Kimono, now renamed to Skims, because she was just using the word kimono as like a play on word with her name and some type of like a fashion or some type of clothing style with it. And if you read the name too, it was not exactly what was being sold. So I think really what it was is that like she just used the name and people were getting like mixed signal, or not mixed signals. They were just not interpreting the name correctly to what the product was. That was that. Like there was that case. But
You don't. Whatever she sold didn't look like kimonos.
yeah,
No, it definitely did not.
yeah,
There's no elegance to it whatsoever.
yeah.
So okay, she calls it kimono, but it's not like.
No, it's
Yeah,
not.
actu-
It's nothing of the sort. But it's just a play on of a word. But I still don't understand. Like the play on didn't really describe what she was selling.
Yeah. So if anything, that was like probably the other case. The other one was the whole spa water recipe. For those that weren't here too, that shit was funny too. Where like some white lady was trying to describe to us like the recipe to how she makes her spa water, and then as you look through it, it's like, wait a fucking minute, this is aqua frescas, which is just water, sugar, and fruits. Tasty
Yeah,
as
I
fuck
would
too.
say
If
that.
you go to Texas State Fair, grab a cup of that.
Or just go to the local taqueria and do what you
No, that would
find it.
definitely be cultural appropriation right there.
Yeah, like that is perfectly like valid to call cultural appropriation on that,
Oh, for sure.
especially
You're trying to make
especially
it like you own the shit, like you don't.
yeah, yeah, and straight up to I think there's also like a lot of times too where what I think the hardest thing to really call cultural appropriation for this one would be like when all the black community were calling like literally a lot of K-pop groups for culturally appropriating their hip hop style. Now,
Well, that's a problem because every culture does that.
yeah, it's like
Just
every
rap in literally every country, you know.
Yeah.
yep. Like and the thing about it too is that like it's not like when these countries are doing it, it's not like they become more popular than like the American like what the culture that they derived it from. If anything, it's getting even more popular now. Fuck, Kendrick is already like a global phenomenal hit. They not like us. They not like us. At some point, I'll probably want to throw that song in one of our podcast episodes just because it sounds funny. Maybe after the whole P. Diddy allegations, we'll do an episode about that. But
This
don't worry
boy.
about it. Don't worry about it.
This boy.
Sorry, this was me thinking out loud.
Bro, you think out loud a lot then.
Yep.
This 3 a.m. shower thoughts coming out
Yeah.
at 9 p.m. right
Bro,
now.
why can't you be a regular 3 a.m. shower thoughts and just, dance to Usher in the
That was
shower?
well, that was me on my first breakup.
Yeah.
It wasn't that song.
You listened to the wrong Usher, dude.
Oh man.
This is
But-
why you sad.
Yeah. Speaking of which though, I mean, really like going back onto like the topic with like K-pop as well. Do you think it really like I look at the way how K-pop like movie or not movies, music videos here, right? A lot of the times too, I can really see like how a lot of like their style does derive from like black rap culture or black hip hop culture. Hell, then
Dude, Red Velvet's nearly not hip hop at all. I'm gonna tell you that.
yeah. Well, I like-
Cock our ass up, Brian.
oh my god,
We're in the middle.
recording
How do you
session right now.
join? We're recording.
What are you recording?
Our other podcast stream because we ran out of
Alright, well.
space. Oh yeah, I'm gonna have to edit this out.
With no time to explain, I gotta move you down.
Yeah, so I'll edit that part out. But continuing on real quick, shit. But yeah, outside of point here too. In this case, when I consider like Red Velvet in together, it's more like hip hop culture encapsulating both like rap and like R&B and anything that like pertains around like black culture music. R&B being part of that. So there's that. That's how I classify it.
I mean, I don't see anything wrong being inspired by other cultures' music.
Yeah. Like I said, I don't think there was, like I said earlier, I don't think there's anything wrong with like how a lot of Korean like artists do that are taking inspiration from like in this case the American counterpart. Fucking A, Jay Park's whole personality is like as if like if you were to translate all of his stuff to be English and he just acts the same way in English to the American audience, yeah, it would be no different. So in general, like what we said, I think what I said last week too is that like it's come to like a frame where anytime they see like another like country is like taking part of like hip hop culture, for example, they have in this case the fear of like as soon as like another country is like goes in on this like subsection of the culture too, they get less of like the share or like the popularity of like stuff like that. But in reality, from another YouTube video, I'll probably post it at the end of this video here. But he did say too that instead of looking at it that way, think of it as anybody that participates in your culture, it just makes the share of the culture grow even bigger because you have more of like an attention of now in this case a global audience looking into this as well, since a lot of let's say Korean people also listen to now American hip hop music because of like bands like BTS and other groups. Hell, Epic High probably was like the best like group that introduced like a rap and hip hop to South Korea.
They're one
I'll
of the
be
big
wrong.
ones.
Yeah,
They're one of the bigger ones, but there's Tiger JK, for
yeah,
example.
yeah. There's that.
Continue.
Yeah.
Just ask the point. Yes.
Yeah. So really, again, I think in general too, K-pop in this case, people ask like, is it cultural appropriation? Technically, it's not. We could still like consider this as like a subsection within like now hip hop now too. Although it just K-pop in general is like the whole music genre under like pop music, but then now there's subsections of K-pop that encapsulates either regular pop music from like Twice, NXT, or not NXT, NCT, and then swinging the other way, you have Epic High and the other groups of the like under the K-pop umbrella. So
They're not.
And then when you continue listening, and then you'll hear the real hip hop stuff.
yeah, man, I will say this: Korean hip rap music gets interesting.
We just bop to the sound, bro.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Like in general for you, Lloyd, like whenever you hear like comments about like from one side that's saying to another like boy group or like any Korean artist that they're culturally appropriating like black hip hop, well, how's that like? What is your response to seeing shit like that?
I would say they're more inspired because a lot of these artists within these groups, they tend to just listen to these type of music like outside of their performances and everything, and it just inspires them. I wouldn't say they appropriate it. Like when you take just music and just making the beat, it's just boom boom boom, like it's just, and it could sound similar because they have something to go off of. Music is literally inspiration for other type of music.
Yeah.
It's like it happens all over the world.
Right.
Yeah, that's an issue with all these like things that you create, all these artworks, all these things, all these creative works in general. I mean, like it's all just inspiration from one another. If not, then it's just plagiarism.
Yeah. Yeah. Because like honestly, the biggest case that I like said too that like for like people that want to claim cultural appropriation on like a already person that lives in America was Eminem because he's a white guy rapping in a black dominant like industry. And a lot of times, but yeah, and he's super popular because of the fact that again, he had in this case the rhyme game and just one of like the better lyricists at the time too. Like straight up, it wasn't even just the fact that he flowed well too. It was the fact that a lot of his rhymes and a lot of the things that he rapped about too was just on point. Like it all was impactful. So he was just overall a good artist and a good like rapper. So to people claiming that it was culturally appropriating, it's one thing if he does that shit and he's popular of like with just only like the white like audience or fans that he has too. But then like black people fucks with Eminem. So I don't know.
Literally everybody does.
Yeah, everybody fucks with them.
It can be. I don't know. I don't think it's I mean, it's not cultural appropriation as much as people want to keep saying it. It's really.
Does this get thrown around too much?
It gets thrown around. It gets really annoying to hear. I mean, like.
Yeah.
What's not cultural appropriation to you then?
Yeah. Yeah, because like literally you have like the problem too, like people that claim like cultural appropriation too, because if you want to follow that argument line to the T, you literally cannot have anything creative or no innovation actually comes out from like either film, movie, or films, TV shows, cooking,
I mean, even culture,
music,
even culture can't expand itself.
Yeah, like
not inspiration from one another.
Yeah, fucking look at Vietnamese culture too. Albeit it's very distinct too, but it wasn't always like this too. Hell, we even like watched a video of Victor that like even like the Vietnamese language is like still evolving.
Yeah.
So, and it's like we even try to figure out like what did like original Vietnamese like sound or like was spoken like back then too. And even then it's just like it was very different. So
I'm sure it's just similar to Chinese.
Yeah, similar to Chinese. But aside from that, and again, this is like the same to group of people that will also claim cultural appropriation on like people that already they don't look like they have the norm or they didn't fit like the quote unquote group that they're trying to like represent here. Like in this case, a UK chef here. We're bringing it all back around. A
Mhm.
UK chef that released a cookbook here that was called Dumplings and Noodles. One person claimed her to be culture appropriating just because, A, you just look like a white lady that just made a cookbook about Chinese food. Like, what do you know about making Chinese food? Took me 5 minutes to research the author first. Turns out, yeah, she's a well-renowned, or not renowned chef, but she won like a lot of competitions here. And she trained in like a Chinese culinary school.
I'm just
So,
amazed that people don't do their research
yeah,
like at
like,
all.
like all you had to do was just that, and you would have been fine.
Take
The
5 minutes, you find it.
Yeah, yeah,
Literally.
yeah, and it's like even like you could claim like is Gordon Ramsay like culture appropriating sometimes? Like no, like if anything, he gets humbled a lot of times if he goes to another country, he tries to cook their food in his version, and it turns out to be ass.
Yeah, like
Mhm.
the pad thai or some shit like that.
Yeah, that fucking Thai chef looks so offended when he tasted it.
I'm like, no way, that boy. You are a renowned chef, but oh god damn,
Hey
Yeah,
man,
that pad
he's a
thai ain't
renowned
pad thai,
chef.
bro.
Look. Every master is a master in a specific thing, not everything.
yeah,
He's good at
Okay,
cooking, but only a specific type of food.
got
yeah,
humbled.
yeah. And I will say the only other person that I will say to a cultural appropriation would be like Jamie Oliver, the one person that Uncle Roger likes to fucking shit on.
Oh yeah.
Fucking, I will say this too. Jamie Oliver is like coming from like a pretentious like feel to it. I think I will call this one as the actual case of cultural appropriation just because he showed us like his version of fried rice. But it's like he was trying to claim it that it's gonna be like his version is like more healthier. Then I fucking see him put apricot jam in that shit. I'm like, what the fuck? So yeah, I mean that is the only other case that I would see that. But moving on to the point with the dumpling and noodles cookbook. Yeah, the lady in there too, she just made a cookbook that's just based on her experiences of learning how to cook like Chinese cuisine. In this case, when she was going through culinary school, what she learned. And made it more digestible for people that obviously don't have the freedom or option to travel to China to go to a culinary school there. So I see this and I'm like, okay, so she's not doing anything bad about it at all, too. But the person that originally called like cultural appropriation, yeah, she put her account on private after people like did like the 5 minute research and called her out on that.
Oh yeah, of course.
But if you're gonna be a dumb bitch, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah. So yeah, like pretty much from our last week's video too. Yeah, cultural appropriation has definitely lost its meanings in recent times.
It's very skewed.
Yeah.
Maybe it hasn't lost its meaning. Maybe people just like what Loy said, just skewed its meaning.
Yeah, it's like they want to like make it mean like more things when it's just like in general. Like what we said for here, like spa water is just yeah, that one's a good case to say that's cultural appropriation. The Kim K kimono, that one though, I think it was more like a dumb like naming choice more than she wanted to like appropriate like the word kimono.
And that on top of maybe she just didn't know what a kimono is before she. I don't know if she did her research or not.
I'm sure she knew.
I don't know. I
Hmm.
give her
She
like
just,
I try to give people the benefit of doubt, but
I give her
I
the
don't know.
benefit of the doubt and saying she knew, but then she still wanted to try to see if she can do the wordplay,
Mm,
which I don't
Yeah.
blame her. I mean,
Yeah,
if she
it's
can
like
pull it off, it does sound pretty cool.
yeah.
Yeah.
But obviously too, like the whole like product line that she like released in that did not match the name that the it would have meant here. It would have been cooler too. That like it was like a some bathrobe type stuff.
Yeah.
But even then too, it wasn't that either.
Yeah. It
so
was not.
so regardless, the it gets really messy too from here on just because like we look at a lot of the films and movies industries here too when it's like culturally appropriating like certain things like I think a lot of like TV shows and genres too, they want to like try to copy a lot of like the K-pop or K-dramas like type of storytelling and whatnot. But the problem being is that like these story writings, they don't really match well in American context. But anyways, that's out of topic. I was trying to come up with something, but it turns out the more I thought about it, I was like, yeah, that was a bad example to use here.
Sounds like a keck W for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah. It's yeah, culture. I feel like we've already like bashed this term down to the ground already for this one. But in this case, like, what are your guys' like honest thoughts about in this case, like with all the other current examples that I gave here? Or was there like an example of cultural appropriation that you guys want to actually point out that's a good case for it?
Not sure. I don't know too many.
Hmm.
But I think this whole cultural appropriation is definitely overblown.
Mm-hmm. Or at least the movement that people want to classify everything as cultural appropriation.
I think we should cut the internet for these people. They should get off the internet.
Definitely. Go touch some grass. Talk with some people.
We should revoke their smartphone privileges.
We're keyboard warriors at this point, bro.
Yeah.
Okay, revoke their keyboards.
Yeah. Just like, don't worry, we just cut out their power line in that neighborhood. And the neighborhood will tell them to go outside because now they can't do shit because it's their fault.
Yeah.
We build each other up via community criticisms here. That's how anything actually gets better here.
Absolutely, I agree.
Like here's definitely like what I mentioned earlier too, where like cultural appropriation can be considered like a good thing too. We would not have like Korean fried chicken if that were not the case.
True, I agree. We would not have Korean fried chicken.
God.
But nobody talks about that, huh?
Yeah,
Korean
nobody
fried
talks
chicken is becoming a big thing now.
Yeah,
Korean
it's such
fried chicken.
yeah, it's such a big thing too. And you go back to history of like how like Korea like figured out how to make fried chicken. It was pretty much when like US soldiers were like stationed over there. They taught like the people over there how to make like fried food and a lot of like the dishes that we have here in America. Just now they learned it over there too. And they just made it their own.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think Korea is probably like the most like interesting like culture studies to like look at the way how food has evolved from like where they are at and how they like integrated themselves in the world.
I think the interesting study you should do in Korea is how do they take things that exist and make it better?
Right. I think it's like
cheese and spicy sweetness.
yeah. Honestly, I also want to believe they have like better quality control of ingredients. I think that's also a bigger like reason
Maybe
for
Koreans are just better.
that. Maybe.
Korea number one.
South Korea, only Korea. Wait, hold on.
Oh, there, Brian.
Oh,
Oh.
now you sound like a comics.
Oh. Wait. But
I'm just kidding.
But
No, I'm
if
not.
anything, but yeah, if anything, yeah, if without like honestly, let's just say we're like for proper cultural appropriation, but I think the wording of that is that you're culturally inspired by something. I think that's the best way to word it.
For sure.
You are culturally inspired. I mean, what else are you going to be? You're not stealing from the culture.
Yeah. And if anything too, like any creative work too, literally you do have to like steal from like the style of another person, but then
I
it's
mean,
what you do with like the style to make it your own.
We steal the ideas from each other all the time.
Yeah.
That's called inspiration.
Yeah. How did I also get inspired by this podcast too? I fucking watched David So.
See, he's stealing David So's ideas. All right, David, please
Exactly.
cancel him.
Wait, please no. I'll suck you off.
Don't listen to him.
Wait, please.
If he wants to, let him do it and then cancel him.
No. Man. But like I said too, cultural appropriation, or in this case, what I want to reword this now is that we just word it as cultural like inspiration here. Because that's what everything that we do now from here on. Especially like the way like Korea has like built itself out to be. Hell, a lot of like the Southeast Asian fields too, they are like innovating themselves culturally over there too, where more Thai
Right.
restaurant or Thai food is actually getting better, or not better in the sense that like, oh, the quality is getting better. No, they're just now more options that they can do now because they were inspired by another culture or region.
Look, the internet has helped every culture connect with one another, and in doing so, we're all inspired by each other.
Yeah. So it's because it would have been easier beforehand without the internet, that like you can definitely say too, it's like, man, what does a white man know about like Chinese cooking? And then you have the internet, it's like, oh shit, you can really cook that shit.
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So like I said, I won't judge in this case if a Korean person can make tacos and if a Mexican person can make a good bowl of pho. All of
Bro,
it
they
doesn't
can make
matter.
all my rice dishes for me.
Like I said, it doesn't matter. In the end, it really doesn't matter, just because at the end of the day, you are still going to be consuming a product anyways. If the product that
And
you're
look,
consuming that they're making, if you don't like it, then it is what it is.
look, at the end of the day, these people cooking your food aren't claiming that it's their own or that it's a special dish of their own culture. They're saying it's pho or the specific, type of food.
Yeah.
They're not claiming it as their own culture's food. So
Yeah. Yeah.
it doesn't matter who cooks the food for you.
They just want to
Right.
make it. They just want to spread the food and the culture that
Yeah.
they love so much.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think right now, I think that's pretty much all that I have left to talk about here too. I do want to keep this one a little bit short here too, because all this really was just reiterating from last week and
Right.
possibly like try to be focused here, kind of.
I don't believe you.
I
Yeah,
don't believe you, Mr. Bowie.
yeah. But anyways, probably, yeah, this upcoming weekend too. If this is a video that you see on the Saturday as well, we won't be doing any podcast streams from that weekend and probably so forth and onwards. I mean, just because I'll be flying out to Orlando for a job and Victor will be out to Vietnam.
Again.
Yes.
Yes. So
Round two.
yeah, you won't be hearing much from us probably, but if anything, I'll try my best to be active here. Maybe also do some pre-recordings while I'm a downtime in Orlando. Just do some rants, some hot or trash rants.
Yeah. Maybe
Oh, yeah.
we'll just maybe we'll find a time to get together and just make another podcast video.
Yeah.
It's like a short little 3 minute, 30 minutes, you know? Don't
Yeah.
have to be a
Yeah.
4 hour.
3-minute podcast. I like what I'm hearing.
Yeah, dude.
Oh,
boom, boom,
man.
boom, boom, boom.
That's like Lloyd gay, Victor gay, Michael gay, I'm gay. All right, bye guys.
Even
thanks for
though
coming
3 of
to the
us have
podcast.
fiancés and girlfriends.
Yeah.
Well,
Good.
wife, fiance, and girlfriend.
Yeah. Yeah, it sounds about right.
And I'm the
But-
single one. It's all good.
Yeah. But anyways, thank you for dealing with the fact that I did not have like a really good upload schedule and the fact that I had to release my pilot episode. Please tune in or please give some video of that attention because that was a shit show of a pilot episode that I did because there was a lot of stuff that I did not record beforehand and we were just saying, fuck it, let's try it out. But yes, thank you again. And hopefully by the time we get back from there too, it would also be Thanksgiving break. So until then, happy holidays for everybody else here.
Yeah, wish me happy birthday. I hate y'all. I'm just kidding. I love y'all.
Yeah.
Bye bye. Bye, gay.